and welcome to LPod Academy's driving test routes. Today we are going to be looking at Exeter driving test centre routes. And thank you for joining us. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. We do really appreciate all of your support. You can check out our podcast show, The Swan and Soto Show. This can be found on iTunes, so get over to iTunes and check that out. If you are struggling to pass your theory test, visit LPod Theory Training, our bespoke online theory training course. And we do have a learner blog as well at learnerpod.co.uk. If you are wishing to take an intensive driving course in the Exeter area, please visit our website. Driving test tips preparation. Okay, during this slide we are going to be giving you some driving tips to help you prepare for your driving test. It's not just a driving test route. There are lots of things that you can do to help improve your chances of passing your test on the next attempt. Test practice tips. Number 1, always make sure that you take at least one mock test. I prefer to do 2 or 3 with my students. It really does give you a thorough platform for training. It will help you understand what a test route looks like. It will also give you the time to drive whilst you're concentrating on the road and being examined. So it's good for practice, especially when it comes for the real thing. You can study at home. There are lots of videos to watch. There are lots of books to read, and obviously conversations with parents or conversations with friends and family who have recently done a driving test. You should always evaluate your own progress. If you use driving practice record sheets, then you should, try and use the scale of happiness. So for example, 1 to 10 on topics, are you really happy? Number 10, or you're not very happy, number 1. Scale your difficulty, and you can obviously use this as a technique to see where your areas of practice are. You should always practice your weak areas, any areas that you're not confident in, and you should always ask your driving instructor lots of questions. Please do ask questions. These are very, very important. Every single time you drive with your instructor, obviously at the end, you will evaluate that lesson. So make sure that you always kind of absorb the information that you discuss. You should never skip on training either. Make sure that you are focused and are committed to your driving lessons, and make sure that they are on a regular basis. There are lots of things that you can do to help prepare you for your driving test. So if you are having regular driving lessons, there are some tips on the left hand side of the slide, and if you are learning with mum and dad, there are some tips on the right hand side of the slide. Exeter Driving Test Centre's test pass rate is above average at 49.2%, and this is recorded of 2019. It is slightly above the national average of 47%. Driving Test Centre address is in Oak Business Unit in the Marsh Barton area of Exeter. Exeter does have a theory test centre. Exeter does have a lot of dual carriageways and roundabouts, and of course stop junctions. The approximate practical test waiting times are around 9 weeks when it's not COVID. During COVID, it can be a lot longer than this. When it comes to your driving test, please make sure that you have your photo driving licence with you, and you should make sure that whatever car you're using is roadworthy. So if you're going with your instructor or with your parents' car, make sure that the tyres are in good condition, that all the lights are working, including brake lights and windscreen wipers. Please do not arrive more than 5 minutes before your test. You may be asked to leave the car park. Where possible, you should always reverse your car into one of the bays at the test centre if your driving test centre has bay parking. You should always decide whether you want your accompanying driver with you, although during the COVID pandemic, no other driver is allowed to be sitting in the vehicle apart from the examiner on your actual driving test. If you are taking the test in your own car, please make sure you have valid learner car insurance and a spare internal mirror for the examiner to use. Make sure you also have valid L plates on your vehicle, and it's always a good idea to have a spare in the boot in case one falls off. When you start your test, just focus and do what you've been doing on your driving lessons or during your private practice, and good luck. Okay, so we are starting our driving test route in Exeter. You're probably very familiar with this area already. Hopefully you've done lots of practice with your driving instructor in and out of the area, or with your parents if you're lucky enough to have some private practice. So hopefully you'll get some idea of what to kind of think along your driving test route, what to look out for. We are turning right at this junction, so hopefully you've checked your mirrors and given a signal. And as you can see, this road is quite a wide road. There are some markings on the tarmac, so you need to be aware of those. Obviously they are for cyclists predominantly, so you shouldn't drive in the cycle lane if you have got these on the road where you're driving. So as we come out of Marsh Barton in Exeter, you can see that it's pretty built up, so you can assume or know that the driving limit is 30 unless it states otherwise. So lots of kind of buildings, lots of hazards, people walking across roads, as you can see. So just scanning the road, get used to looking around, make sure that you check regularly behind you as well. So when you're planning your journey, you make sure that you're matching the lane that you're in with the signal and the direction that you're about to go. Very often on driving tests, learners can get confused. So for example, if the examiner says turn left at the traffic lights, they may signal left but forget that they're going left and end up going ahead of something if it's a particular crossroads. So do connect where you're going with the road markings, with your signal, and look in the direction that you want to go. So be very conscious of your actions. Okay, as you can see, we've held back a little bit here. So in driving, there is a classic saying called tyres to tarmac, so make sure that you hold back. And as you proceed forward, make sure that you scan all your mirrors and make sure you scan the roads to the right and left, so just to make sure that all the cars are sat still. There is a learner ahead of us, as you can see. And just continue the road ahead. Obviously, roads like this, you want to kind of build your speed up on, make sure that you know what the speed limit is at all times. Any 40 limits, they will be repeated at some point. It is not a standard limit. They will have repeat signs. If it is a 30, you may not see another road sign for quite a while. So you can see the street lights that are present in this area. We are in the left only lane, so we must go left with a signal and mirror signal routine. Normal road position, a metre from the curb at all times. This particular road has double yellows and some single yellows on it. You won't be parking on this road. It's quite built up. It can cause quite a few problems. So as you go around this roundabout, you know, make sure that you have good steering. Make sure that you don't get too near the curbs as you go round. Quite a nice route, this one. Hopefully you've had lots of training in Exeter, you are familiar with the area. But again, it's not about being overly knowledgeable of the test centre area. It's about putting all the set pieces that you've done with your instructor and reading the road as it is presented. Okay, so it is okay not to be that familiar. Just watch the signs, approach like you do normally, and you will find that you should be able to cope wherever you drive. It's all about confidence. Okay, so as we drive along here, there's a few things to be aware of, like bus stops and side roads. There's lots of entrances on the left and obviously pedestrians on the left hand side. When dealing with parked cars, make sure that you check your wing mirrors, change of direction before you move around them, particularly your right wing mirror in case there are any overtaking vehicles. Quite a few roundabouts in Exeter and T-junctions like this one. You should try and avoid stopping at every junction. This is obviously not progressive and the examiners wouldn't like that at all. So it's really important to kind of have early observations and match your speed to what can be seen and make progress where possible at all times. Okay, so what is the speed limit of this road? Have you clocked it yet? Have you managed to see a road sign? Has a camera picked up the road sign? What do you think the speed limit is? Now, you see the amber just changed there. So again, we were too near the solid white line to be able to stop safely. So we had to commit through that junction there, but it was right at the early part. Any further back, obviously, we should always try and stop because amber does mean stop. Okay, so we are turning right. as we are in the right hand lane, we're following the road markings. Leaving plenty of space with the vehicle ahead of us. When you're stationary in traffic, make sure that you keep alert. Do not go into daydream mode. Always hunt out road signs, information, scan the road and your mirrors. Okay, so we are turning right. As you can see, again, you should be scanning the road from the right to the left, not the left to the right, because the traffic is nearer you on the right as you turn the corner. The examiner will be watching your eye movements along your driving test. Lots of examples of double yellows along here. Can you see the yellow on the road? That also means that disabled drivers are not allowed to park, even on these double yellows. Not that you really need to know that, but I just thought I'd share that with you. Okay, so very built up area, quite, you know, residentially, lots of parking spaces on the left at this moment. Also a cycle lane on the left, garages around. So it's quite congested, quite a lot of things going on. So you always want to plan quite far, look at the traffic lights, kind of predict what they're doing. Can you see how the driver is slowing down but not quite stopped? So they didn't race to a stop or anything like that. So nice side road, lots of parked cars. What is the distance that you should be giving parked cars? And when is it okay to get near with the parked cars? What should you be doing? So here's some questions for you to think about. Alright, so as we're following this road, when we get to the end of the road, we are going to turn right. So always make sure that you click your signals off if the car doesn't click them off, and always follow the contour of the road. Be very aware of side roads and bends. You need to follow bends where they lead you, and don't take an accident side roads. Sometimes roads can look very strange. So always keep an eye on the road markings and the contour of the road itself. So we're coming to a meeting traffic situation, so obviously slowing down to let the van through. Now in this situation, nobody particularly has priority. It's a bit courtesy to share priorities and stuff. Here's our first stop junction. Make sure that you stop, count to 3. I would advise putting your handbrake on as well, just so that you definitely know that you have stopped. You'll be surprised how many people don't actually stop at stop junctions. It's probably the most easiest fail in the world. Exeter does have a lot of stop junctions, so do be aware of the rules of stop junctions. If you're too short of the stop junction, it may not count. You need to be at the solid white line. And again, don't go over the solid white line. Same rules as red traffic lights. So we're waiting on this red light for the traffic to clear. What are the rules of box junctions? When are you allowed to wait in box junctions, and when are you not allowed to be in the box junction? What direction should you be travelling for you not to be allowed in the box junction? So this particular junction is a crossroads. It is controlled by traffic lights. If you were to go ahead, left or right here, where should you look first when you proceed at the green light? Do you look to the right first, do you look ahead first, or do you look left first? Where would the cars be coming from first? Okay, very important to keep your wits about you on crossroads, especially if you're turning right. You may have to wait in the middle to give way to oncoming traffic. Never assume your green light means you can instantly turn corners. The examiner wants to make sure that you read the situation. Sometimes you'll have your own green light and every other exit will be sitting still on their red. Sometimes you will have to wait in the middle. When you turn left, who could be crossing the road? So always drive vigilantly. We are turning left and obviously giving way to the cars that were committed prior to us turning. Okay, so as we come under the bridge, We're driving along this road. There are lots of hazards along this road. Apologies for my tongue tie. If you're on a driving test now, what would be going through your mind right now? What would you be concentrating on? Where should you stop at? Traffic lights, for example. Can you see that was quite fast, coming into that kind of stop junction quite fast? I do need to say a big thank you to Claire for allowing us to use her mock driving test on this filming. Thank you, Claire. We really do appreciate your drive and allowing us to record this route. Claire has since passed her test, thankfully. And we are hopefully going to share some driving test tips with you Exeter students who are about to take a driving test. Now, we did film this route a couple of years ago and we have been a bit delayed uploading the footage. Now, this particular route, we did a turning road which was part of the old syllabus. Nowadays, the turning road is not on the syllabus anymore. However, you should still practice this manoeuvre with your driving instructor or with your parents. It is a very useful manoeuvre. Okay, you can watch lots of videos on turning road or 3-point turn on YouTube. Very good footage as well. And please remember, if you have any questions, please post your questions below this video. We have 3 questions in 3 test routes in total. When turning right into side roads and using these lanes, make sure your whole vehicle is in the box. If you do not move into the box or are at an angle and any part of the car is outside, you could be marked down by the examiner. That's a big driving test tip, that one, so please do take note. Parking up on the left now. Again, it's all about the control of the car. This is called an angled pull-in or angled park, where you're parking after a parked vehicle. It's quite technical. We are doing a turn in the road here. As I said, this is an old recording, but this is a sample route that you may experience some or all parts of this route on your driving test. No company has the official test routes. Us instructors only get to learn them nowadays if we actually sit on the driving test routes. The DVSA stopped publishing the routes at least 10-12 years ago when they brought out the independent driving. It's not about knowing the exact route, it's just having a slight familiarisation of the area. Some knowledge of the area can ease your nerves and give you a little bit more confidence. So this video is aimed to help you get familiar, maybe gain a few tips. Now, can you see that this particular learner was in the wrong lane? She checked her mirrors and gave a signal to the left and also checked her blind spot there. So I know you can't see that bit on the actual recording, but she did do thoroughly good checks. When we record these in the future, we will get a camera on the driver as well, so that you can kind of see the level of observations and the actions of the hands whilst driving. Okay, so where should you look at traffic lights? Why is it important to look in that direction? Please leave your answers in the comments below this video. Now, a really good tip, you should always look into side roads as you pass them. It's really important to have an overall good level of awareness. You should know what's approaching side roads. The earlier you see things, the better equipped you will be when it comes to making good decisions. Okay, so do look around you, do use your mirrors, and make sure that you keep to your routines when you change lanes like we've just done there. What is the routine when you change lanes? How do you change lanes, and what do you do to make it safe? How do you communicate with other road users? When do you signal? Again, you can see the tyres to tarmac. We have kept far enough back. And on this particular traffic lights, did you notice the green arrow pop up then? Very often learners do go into daydream mode at traffic lights. Please do not do this on your driving test. Keep your eyes on those lights at all times. If you are delayed moving off or someone from behind beeps you, be prepared to get a mark by the examiner. Okay. So there are lots of lanes, as you can see from this footage. You can see that there's lots of different lanes for turning right from both directions as well. Exeter does have quite a busy city centre. There's lots of road markings. What should you not do at zigzags at a pedestrian crossing? Please leave your answers below this video to help everyone else understand as well, not just you. So if you do know, please help others. Share your tips as well. What other tips has your instructor given you? Any questions that you may have, share them. We will answer them. We'll do our best to get back to you. Again, this route is all about helping you prepare for your driving test. It isn't an official route, but it's a sample route. You may get this route, you may not get this route. It's not about knowing the routes, it's just knowing what is allowed, what would be questioned, and what may you get marks for. There are lots of cycle lanes and box junctions in Exeter, so just do be aware of them. Also lots of 20 zones. Again, make sure that you keep to the speed at all times. How do you judge a width from the curb, a drain's width from the curb? How do you judge that? What's your routine when you pull off? Parking on your driving test, that can happen an awful lot. It's probably one of the highest performed manoeuvres that you do for various different reasons. Being able to select a safe place is one of the parking requirements of your driving test. So if you have private practice with mum or dad, get them to ask you to find a safe place. Be aware of narrowing the road or parking opposite other cars, junctions, brows or bends. When we come to the end of this road, we will be turning right. You can see by the road position that we're turning right there, and then we're going to turn left. What could be around this corner? What speed is ideal to turn? What speed limit is the road? Can you see the repeated road signs on the right and left? 20 is not a standard limit for built-up areas. 30 is the standard limit, the default limit. So therefore 20 usually is repeated frequently. As you can see, we just passed another one there. So if in doubt, keep searching for that limit. What road position should you place the car on a bend? It's very important to make sure that you keep to the left when the bend goes to the right, and in the middle when the bend goes to the left. How much space do you give when you pass parked vehicles, and why is that important? Good, check out the observations at the junction there. Observations at junctions actually is the #1 reason why people fail a driving test. Usually because they pull out of the junction when there is someone approaching, another vehicle approaching. Make sure that you scan all junctions, not just T junctions, roundabouts and crossroads also. Scan from right to left several times in each direction. Gather as much information as possible. Here we have another stop junction. Count to 3. And when it's safe to do so, move out of the junction. Okay, still 20, as you can see the road sign on the left. Speed calming measures. Who has priority? How do you know when to give priority? Did our driver need to stop there? What would that mean on a driving test? Leave your comments below if you know. What's the biggest hazard with buses? What is the reason for speed calming measures? What kinds of things help reduce the speed of a particular road? Again, leave your comments below. If you have any questions, please do ask. We are here to help you pass your test, whether in person or through our YouTube videos and our podcast show. Please get over to Swan and Soto at iTunes. We're two friendly instructors having a chat. We have lots of interviews and we do lots of competitions. So lots of fun. We also prank driving instructors. So if you are learning to drive with an instructor and they're pretty cool and you think they'd be up for being pranked, then let us know. Send us or leave a message below this video. We always like to have the contact details or talk to people who setting their driving instructor up in a nice way. Some of our most viewed or listened to podcasts are the ones that we prank instructors. So please leave your thoughts or questions below in the comment section below this video. So as you can see, there's lots of double yellows in Exeter. Double yellow lines, single yellow lines, designated parking bays, very narrow streets. So what is the appropriate speed for such roads? What kind of speed would you be doing right now if you was on this test route? Okay, so I don't know if you just caught that, but the learner did ever so slightly cut the corner turning right. So it's very important to make sure that you do not do this on your driving test. There is a section that actually says cutting corners at junctions, so a big no. Please do not do this yourself. When turning right, so cutting corners when turning right, make sure you go around the centre white line and not over it. Always signal nice and early when you're turning left and right at junctions. So what is the speed limit of this road? Do you recognise this road? Have you driven on this road? There are lots of speed cameras in Exeter, so again, if you are caught speeding as a learner driver, do you get the points on your licence? Please leave your comments below this video. I want to test your knowledge. I want to make sure you have all the facts. We will obviously share lots of the correct answer in the comments when we get a few answers. Now, big red bus lane, please do not enter. Do look out for the timings of bus lanes as well, and make sure that if you do come back to the left, only after the solid white line has broken again. They're very strict with road markings. If you can see the blue sign up ahead, it should say 24 hours or no timings at all. Not quite clear on the footage, but it is bright red. And as you can see, there are nobody driving in the left lane along this road. It is illegal to drive in the bus lane. And lots of bus lanes nowadays do have cameras. So if you do drive in a bus lane by accident, be prepared to have got caught or to get caught. Okay, you see the arrows there where the lines break up? This is your chance to move over only when it can tell you to do so. Don't move over too early, and make sure, see how the lanes are coming in, 2 lanes. Where should your eyes be right now before the 2 lanes are merged to one? Leave your comments below the video. Let us know what you're thinking. We will get back to all comments, so please be generous. Give a thumbs up for this video if it's helped you in any way. If you can take any tips from this video, even if you only learnt one thing, do let us know. We want to improve these videos. We have a lot of test routes to get through throughout the UK, so please do kind of leave us feedback, and we will do our very best to give you as great content as we possibly can. We do this in our spare time. We spend hours doing these videos, so if we can improve them, please let us know how. So when you're on your driving test, please remember to keep your focus at all times. It's very important, if you make a mistake, to forget it and move on. You may only have got a minor, but if you keep dwelling on what you've just done, you may miss something. It could be your speed limit, it could be a road sign, it could be a hazard in the road. So do learn how to just get over. What's the hazard coming up right now? You can see the van reversing from the left there. At this particular roundabout, we are going to follow the road ahead. That was a left only. Now the left only is very important that if you land in a left only, that you take the turn. Do remember, it's not about going the correct way, it's about driving safely. It is okay to go the wrong way on a driving test. It's not okay not to tell people where you're going or to be in the wrong lane. So do go left even if the examiner said go ahead. Okay. If anything you have listened to in this video and you're not quite understanding what the advice is, please ask in the questions and I will try and explain it in a different way. Everyone learns in different styles. What type of learner are you? Do you learn best visual? Are you kinesthetic or you're an auditory learner? So can you see the two lanes are narrowing, or the roadworks and are coming in now and narrowing on the right hand side? So we are coming through. This is the dual carriageway part of this particular test route. Most test routes will have some form of country lane, national speed limit, dual carriageways. It's not all around town or residential areas. Do expect to drive anywhere, obviously not motorways. They won't take you on motorways during your test, although you can now learn on motorways with a driving instructor. Not your parents, but a driving instructor in a dual controlled car. But yeah, do expect to go anywhere. So again, it's not about knowing the test routes as such, it's just knowing or having some kind of idea of the road layouts and having some kind of familiarity to help you when it comes to your driving test. What does that solid white line mean? What you're not allowed to do. So at the roundabout we will be turning right. And we will be heading back to the test centre. So the test centre is actually on the edge of Marsh, Barton, industrial estate. So it's very good to get to know the dual carriageways that lead to the test centre. Okay, so it's really important to keep your nerves all the way through the test. You probably have noticed that the pupil took the wrong direction at that roundabout and have come back down the road. They will be turning right at this roundabout. How do you exit roundabouts? What do you do? Now this particular angle, it's very important to select the right hand lane quite early, because this road can get quite busy, especially in rush hour traffic, and this left lane does turn left at the next roundabout. You will be turning right at this roundabout towards the test centre. And make sure that you check those mirrors every single time you exit. What is the speed limit of this road? The speed limit of this road. Did you see the sign? Okay, well hopefully you've enjoyed this video and we thank you for watching it. Again, please do give us a like. We do appreciate the support that we get. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below this video. Enjoy part 2 and part 3. Slightly different. There will be no voiceover for part 2 or 3, but there'll be some tips on part 2 and then just the raw footage for part 3. Again, this is just to give you some familiarisation of Exeter and the types of roads that you could be driving on. We hope that you've enjoyed it.